Renegade Breakthroughs, the show where we cut through the noise, show you the clear path forward, and help passionate entrepreneurs break through invisible barriers so they can achieve more, earn more, and make a much bigger impact. Robert Imbriale is a best-selling author of motivational marketing, and for nearly 30 years, he has helped thousands of business owners finally see what's really been running their results from behind the scenes. If you're ready for real transformation and lasting success, you're in the right place. Let's go!
Let's go indeed. Hello, friends. I'm watching the chat room. You guys are in there having a good time already. Thank you so much for being here. I'm your host today, Robert Imbriale, and boy, I don't know. I'm almost speechless. I'm one who's very rarely without words, but thinking about what's going on here in July, it's a little bit crazy out there. I think it's a little bit off center. About 103 here today, and I know for my friends in Arizona, 111. I think Joey said it was there. It's mild. For us, it's pretty warm, very warm and dry. And for my friends in North Carolina, they're getting rain. But weren't they just on the drought list a couple of weeks back? Everything was a drought. There's no rain. And I think North Carolina, it's like raining almost every day now. So things are a little bit weird. Everywhere I look, there's weirdness going on. I think you're probably feeling the same thing. And, where do you put your feet on the ground? Where is that stable point if you're looking for it? Because I'm looking for it. I was having a conversation with Phoebe earlier today and saying, where do we get to a point where, there's like an even keel? And we're certainly in the storm and getting tossed about quite a bit in different directions. And through it all, we try to smile, stay strong, like I say, but be flexible, be ready to change at a moment's notice if need be, and keep a smile on your face as much as possible. We're going to talk a little bit about that today and share some stories about what's going on in the economy and how AI may be a solution. I know some of you are not really into AI, I get it. However, it is probably the biggest, if not the biggest, change that we're going to experience in our lifetimes. You thought the advent of the computer was a big deal, right? I got on a computer in 1980, TRS-80, and some of you have been on the computer longer than me, but I was 16 years old in 1980. I got a TRS-80, and I was on the computer, and I thought, this is going to change the world. And then in 1984, when I got online, I realized, whoa, this is it. If all the computers can be connected to central intelligence, right, these big servers in the sky, we call it the cloud today, it's really going to change things. And now we're at the precipice of AI coming in and changing it even more. And I know there's some people out there, and I find this fascinating, who are still computer illiterate. They don't know really how to use a computer. And I always ask the question, it's like, how do they get through life? Because everything you run into today is a computer. You pump gas, it's a computer. You check out at Costco, it's a computer, right? It's everywhere you go. There's some form of computing that you kind of need to be a little bit familiar with to know how these things work. Anyway, I digress, and we'll get into some of the conversations here. So I'm going to talk about shifting tides. I think that is a good starting point. The tides are shifting, and when they do, it gets a little bit, unstable, and I think that's a lot of us are feeling that. I'm looking at a lot of business owners, and I ask the question always, what are you guys feeling? What is your thoughts about the economy? What are your thoughts about society in general, politics, all of it? What are you feeling? And you know what I'm getting more and more? People are back into, and I hate to say it, almost where we were back in 2020 when COVID started. People are on hold. They're waiting. They're pausing. They're not taking that next step forward because there's so much uncertainty right now. But as I've been explaining to you guys for a long time now, anytime we as a society have been wanting change, we want things to change. We didn't like it the way it was. It has to change. It has to change. It has to get better. But from where we are to where we want to be, that space in between is often extremely chaotic. And I think that's where we are right now. We're, coming from what was, which we didn't like. We're going to what we want. But there's a lot of things that are really messed up right now, and it's really hard. And we're seeing it. If you look at the community we play in, we're seeing a lot of people angry with each other. cutting them down on social media and the words. And it's like these people were all in unison at one point, and now they're battling. Kind of interesting. I was just looking at one of my friends who has a Telegram channel, had 130,000 people following him, and a big channel, right? And it's down to 105,000 now today. And I'm like, what in the world's going on? So I was looking at the posts, and the posts are a lot of, criticizing Donald Trump, President Trump. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to do that. And it's dividing because he was extremely pro-Trump, early on. And all of a sudden, the things that are going on now. And my feeling is this is the chaotic stage where you got to play games. You got to do things that are going to cost you. So I'm taking a step back. I'm not taking a side right now because this is what we call the fog of war. And it's very difficult to see clearly the next steps. So again, clients come to me and say, Rob, what do you think? And right now I say, stay the course, stay strong, keep doing what you're doing. And until there's something tangible that we need to do to change it, just keep moving forward. I think it's going to be really important. So, I'm seeing clients right now who literally are on hold. They're no longer executing. They're no longer putting things into play. I get it. That's okay. For right now, just don't make it a long-term thing. If you don't put anything in play for the moment, it's fine. But know that at some point you're going to have to, right? You have to get it back in the game at some point. Don't wait too long. 2020, a lot of us waited too long. I waited. March 19th was the March 20th at midnight was when Newsom shut everybody down here in California, and I waited about 2 weeks before I got back into it. And that was a mistake. I look back at it now and it's like I shouldn't have paused at all. I paused for about 2 weeks trying to figure it out. Clients calling me say, I can't work with you right now. There's no money. I don't know where the money's going to come from. Business is shot. It's down. It was a weird time. And I think right now, probably not a good idea to be on the sidelines. I know a lot of people are. Probably not a good idea. Just keep your foot in the game. So what happened 2 weeks in after 2020 started, I put my foot back in the game because I knew this wasn't going to end anytime soon. It wasn't a quick overnight thing. It wasn't 14 days to flatten the curve. That was nonsense, right? It was a much bigger game. And I kind of figured it out pretty quickly. There's a much bigger game at play here. And I said, okay, if I want to make a difference, if I want to make things happen, I can't be on the sidelines. And I think right now is the same thing. We can't be on the sidelines for too long. Okay, a little bit, July's a little bit soft anyway. Every year it's a little bit soft. Things start to connect again in August, and September we start rolling into that fourth quarter where things are just off the chain fast. I'm hoping that's what's going to happen again. Little soft in July, okay, take a breath, it's okay. I think we're all holding our collective breath at this point is the way I would look at it. Some people are actually gripped in fear. They're looking at the situation overseas and the war, and they're seeing it escalate. And I'm going to say only one thing about that. What we're hearing in the media is not the whole full story, right? Never is. There's always something bigger going on, and I'm looking for the bigger. I want to know what the real story is because, again, the dots don't make sense. They don't connect, right? So we're in another situation where there's a narrative being promoted. Is it real? Is it not real? I don't know. And it's scaring a lot of people. A lot of people are just kind of on hold right now. And I say, okay, if that's where you have to be for July, that's fine. I know the road ahead is a little bit uncertain right now, but plant your feet back in the ground. That's what it's going to take for us to move to the next step. Like I said, this is the fog of war, right? We're in that battle right now, and it's hard to really see forward. So I'm going to leave you with this comment here. Winning, if we're going to win, if we're going to get to that next stage, it's going to require some new thinking, a new approach from all of us individually. And it doesn't mean you go out there and you got signs and you're on the street corner. And we're not talking about that. We're talking about what's going on in here. It's going to take some new thinking. So I'm going to give you some ideas today, some things that might spark some energy in you. You might say, "Ooh, that's kind of cool," or "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." So we're going to go through that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to do it. It's going to require true leadership. And what I mean by leadership, we always look to industry leaders, politicians. We look to these people. These people traditionally are not leaders. I mean, Trump is probably the first leader we've had since Reagan, right? The other ones are all loafers. They don't do anything. They just follow orders and they don't really step up and they don't really have a mind of their own. Those are not really leaders. So you and I look at you and I look at the people I work with, the people I hang out with, and I see the leadership. I see the leadership from the men taking care of their families. I see the leadership from the women taking care of the household, taking care of the kids, taking care of their career, doing what they need to do. That to me is really true leadership. And it's going to require that we keep doing that, maybe even a little bit higher level as things get, a little bit more challenging as we go through the chaos. Now, the promise is always, it'll be September, it'll start to clear up. I'm hearing now the end of the year. Some people are saying March of next year. We don't really know. So what we got to do is just take every day as we can and stay strong. And remember, we are leaders of our own lives. We get to choose so many things. I know it's not a free country anymore. We get that. But you still get a lot of choices that other countries don't have. So take advantage of it and be the leader of your own life. I still believe, and people ask me about this, I still believe we're going to get there. I really, really do. It's just, it's going to take a little while. And this is our moment right now to stand very strong. What's that going to look like for you? The good question. What is it going to look like for you to stand strong in all of this, right? Number one is don't be fearful, right? And you might say, well, that's hard. Do I look out there? I know. Don't look out there for the moment. Peek if you want to, but, don't pay a lot of attention to it. Come back to the present moment. Feet on the ground, roof overhead, food in the fridge, you're kind of okay. Just work from there and work up from there and, just stay strong because that's what's required right now. And, I've been getting the phone calls. I've been getting people texting me and saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. This is so scary. I get it. It is a little scary. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to take some time. We're just going to have to be a little bit patient and stay the course, if we will. I want to promote this real quick here. Shop.renegademedia.tv. If you like, notepads. Like I love notepads. I'm going to put up some T-shirts and things eventually, but for right now, this is the thing that's really juicing me up is these notepads, and I'm putting quotes on them and things that are really fun. So if you want to find out more, shop.renegademedia.tv, and that helps obviously the show as well. I appreciate everyone who has been ordering those things. It's always fun to see those to come through. Okay, so today's topic, if you saw the poster, inflation is enemy number one. And I was looking at the price of oil today. It's up over $100 a barrel again. If you remember last week, it was down to $68. We were going in the right direction. And then all of a sudden, they blew up. I think today they blew up two Saudi Arabia tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, and they're burning right now. And now the Houthis are involved, and it's just getting more and more complex. So oil has gone back up, which means the price at the pump is gonna spike probably this afternoon, right? Because the moment something happens, if their price goes up right away, but it takes forever to come back down. You know how that works. So that's what's going on. And, we're looking at the price of everything really going up. We're looking at, the cost of food and the cost of housing and the cost of, clothing and our rents, our mortgages, my insurance for cars just keeps going up. Every time I get a bill, it's higher. It started out at $119. It's now $250. I'm like, a year later, how in the world did that happen? All of it's going up, and it's going crazy. It's getting to the point where we're all being stretched, more than we need to be. So the key word that we're hearing out there more and more is this word called optimize. Optimize. We want to be optimal. We want to be efficient. We want to be whatever. And for a lot of people, what they're seeing is what that might mean is reducing staff. People are losing their jobs. A lot of people losing their jobs, not showing up in the unemployment numbers, which always makes me wonder, are those numbers real? Yeah, probably not. If you have, 60,000 here, 50,000 there, and we show up a net gain every month, I'm like, okay, where are these jobs coming from, right? Where it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. But we got to work with what we're given. So this optimization is happening, and companies are hiring fewer people, and they're outsourcing more. So they're looking at you as an outsourced person. They could say, you know what, you can work from home. Here's what I want you to do. and we'll pay you this much, either a flat fee or hourly, and you don't have to come into the office ever. And you work for yourself, and you take care of your taxes, you do your 1099, do all that stuff, you handle on your own. That's what's going on more than not. Right now, there's a lot of change happening. So we're all being impacted. It's not just me. It's not just you. All of us are being impacted in one way or another, right? When the price of oil goes through the roof, everything sort of gets messed up. So one thing I've noticed, and this is something you probably notice as well, you go grocery shopping, and this has been happening for some time now. There are fewer choices, right? You used to have 20 brands of bread. Now there's only 5 or 6. We've been noticing that. We've had to change, things. This is what we buy this every week. This is what we buy. We go shopping. This is the thing. And all of a sudden it's no longer there. Talk to the manager. Hey, what happened to this? Oh, the company went out of business. Oh, okay. You're seeing a lot of that, right? Now this started in 2020. It's not over. Clearly, the economy is still teetering here, and it's still happening more and more. Restaurants, we had a bunch of favorite restaurants that we used to go to. We have not actually been to a restaurant in months, literally months. All the ones that we loved and would go to all the time, they're all gone. They've all gone under. From 2020 forward, and now, the restaurants, the only way they can survive is massively increase their prices. And you know what? I'm not paying $40 for a fish taco. I don't think anybody would pay it. It used to be $15. Now it is crazy. $39.95 or whatever it is. That's crazy. But not the restaurant's fault. It's the cost of the raw goods, the cost of the employment, the taxes, the insurance, all of it has gone through the roof. And that's the result. So what we're having is we're getting this crunch, and it's coming at us from all angles. And we're looking at it going, gee, what is it going to look like going forward? That's the bad news of it, right? That's the bad news, is everything is falling apart right now. But there's always, how we survive this. I always talk about the word entrepreneur and what that means. Entrepreneur is a French word, and it means entreprendre, which is from the verb entreprendre, which means to undertake. And we are the ones who undertake a lot of things, and challenges is number one. And what we always do is we always look for the silver lining. And I think if you're not an entrepreneur, you're not a business owner, you could still benefit from understanding that when something bad happens, there's always an opportunity that's exposed. And if you look at the Chinese language, they don't have a word for disaster. Their word for disaster is opportunity. That's the way they look at it. So, anything that's a disaster is really an opportunity in disguise. This crazy thing happened. Okay, that's no longer an option. What other options now have opened up that you can now see that you couldn't see before? I don't know. That's what we got to look for. So I'm seeing websites that are disappearing. Amazon is really sucking the wind out of a lot of the e-commerce world, but it won't last, right? The websites that are gone, Amazon, as they get bigger and more bloated, their pricing isn't going to be as good going forward. So there's an opportunity for you to set up an e-commerce site and sell something at a better price than people could get it for on Amazon, for instance, right? As they become bigger and bigger, there's more bloating, there's more waste, their expenses go up. But you can come along as a small solopreneur, create something on the web that you want to do and sell it for less and do actually better. So it's kind of, we're going in this direction right now, but it's not going to last because we know it'll get to a point and it'll plateau and then it'll start going back in the other direction. So that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for. So I'm looking as my goal, and I would assume for many people it's the same thing. You want to look at the challenges, and instead of just focusing on how bad things are, and it's easy to do, I want you to look at what you can see as a silver lining. And it's a little bit difficult because our media never looks there, right? And if you're a lawyer, oh my, you're only taught to look at what could go wrong, right? So a lot of people go through this, and this is what we've been exposed to, is we only look at the bad side, and we get into this habit. And literally, it's a habit of only looking at the bad side and then taking the bad and amplifying it. Because sensationalizing is what the media does best. Let's take this little thing, kind of boring at this level, but let's say what it means going forward is this, and this, and all of a sudden, it's a volcano. when it was just a little mouse hole before. Now it's a volcano, right? And they do that because that gets the viewers and gets you hooked and everything. So we got to get out of that. We've got to look at it for what it is, not worse than it is, and then try to understand what benefit or what good thing can come out of that. And I'm going to give you a couple of stories today that will help illustrate that in a very powerful way. And I think you're going to see, with your own eyes, you're going to be able to see, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So I started out this morning on Claude.ai, and I said, okay, I want to do something a little different for the show today. And I started just having a conversation. Here's my ideas. Here's what I'm thinking of. And it came back and it gave me, some ideas that it thought would be useful based on the conversation I've been having now since literally April 12th, the same conversation with Claude about my content, my messaging, all the rest of that kind of thing. So it gave me some ideas, and they weren't hitting. So I said, you know what, this is really good, but not really what I want to talk about. It just really doesn't have the meat. So I went back and forth. So it took about an hour going back and forth and asking more questions and giving it more input and more feedback. And we finally came down to a couple of things that I could share that would be really helpful. Because I'm kind of catering to two audiences right now. I'm catering to an entrepreneurial audience, the business owners, and also an audience who are not business owners, right? People who may want to be in business someday or maybe not. And we've got to look at it from that perspective. There are, both sides of it. So I want the messaging to kind of work on both. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult, but we're going to do that today. We're going to bridge that gap, and we're going to make it easier. Before I get too deep into that, I want to give you guys a little gift here. Can I do that? Is it okay if I give you a little gift? I have a free download. I talked about it last week, but I neglected to give you the URL. So there's 100 ready-to-use prompts for your business that I worked with AI to create, and it's a free download. So if you go to renegade.club/100, you'll be able to download that for free. Just your first name and email address is all it's going to ask you for, and you'll be able to download that book. Now, what's interesting is if you are new to AI, and I mean any AI, it doesn't mean ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, Gemini, it doesn't matter which one you use, these prompts work in there. They're copy and paste. Even if you don't use anything that's in there, the 110 of them in there, I believe, what it'll do, it'll give you the framework of how to craft and create a prompt, because a lot of people use AI, what's today's temperature, right? It's just a very simple kind of thing, but you can go a lot deeper. And when I first started using AI, I didn't know how to craft prompts, and I started to look at other people's prompts, and I purchased books and prompts, and I started to learn, oh, this is the way you do it. This is how you do it. And so what you could do is you could download these prompts, and you could look at them and say, oh, okay, now I get the structure, I get the format, and go create your own. Or you can copy and paste the ones that are here and in this ebook, and you can use them. So renegade.club/100, and you'll be able to get your hands on some cool prompts that will help you understand AI a little bit better, because I think that's real important that we learn it. I think I mentioned last week, there's only 2% of the people that ever learned how to use search engines correctly. 2% of the people, or actually a little bit less than 2%, and they came out in 1990, just to give you an idea. And the same number is holding true right now. There's about 2% of the population that really gets benefit out of AI, and most people really haven't figured out how to use it yet. So that's a tool that'll help you be part of that 2%, right? You want to be the people in the know and getting the most value out of it. Certainly, for me, it was one of these things. One of these days, I was like, I really need a little feedback here. Give me something. And having the conversation and brainstorming with the AI was really helpful, and it helped. I'm really loving Claude.ai for $20 a month. I mean, this thing is just been phenomenal in helping sort of reframe my messages, because I have a lot of content. My head is full of ideas and full of information, and it's really nice to be able to focus it a little bit so it's not so confusing. Hey, I see Buckshot has joined us. Hey, Buckshot. Okay. Let's see here. For those who use ChatGPT, they released this week a new work mode. It's kind of interesting because Claude has something called co-work, which is a work mode as well. And people ask, well, what's the difference between the two? And I know Bruce has been all over ChatGPT's work mode. He's a ChatGPT guy. I'm a Claude guy. That's where we are right now. Of course, I have Grok as well, and I use Grok for a lot of things like fixing the computer today. The show almost didn't happen because I had a computer issue, but Grok helped me solve it. Within a couple hours, I had the computer back together again and working. So it's working much better now, even than it was before, because I use Grok to help me troubleshoot it really quickly. So ChatGPT came out with this work mode, and it's really interesting. It's pitched as handling 95% of one person's business needs: drafting, customer replies, analysis, content, and it's inside the familiar chat window, so it's not anything harder for you to learn, and it's kind of interesting. Now, Claude Cowork is a little bit different, and I've been using Cowork a lot recently. It's built around an agent that does actual work on your computer, and what it does is you give it access. I give it access. I have one folder that I give it access to. He says, you can only see this folder on my computer, nothing else, just that. And when it creates a Word document, it saves it there. When I ask it a question, it goes back and looks at all the documents that we've already created, what we've created, what the conversations were. It'll go back and look at all of that before it gives me an answer. So the answer is always, in line with the conversation that we've been having now since April 12th. I didn't know it was that far back, but I asked Claude, I said, when did we start this conversation? I went back and looked, and it was April 12th. It was a while ago. Here we are, July 23 today. So it's been going on for a while. But it's good to keep the conversation, the thread of the conversation going as it gets richer and richer as we keep going around. So it's kind of interesting because it saves me a lot of time. For instance, I had a client who has a website that they want to decommission. And one thing that they wanted to save all the content from the website. So I went into Claude Cowork and I said, here's the website. Can you create a Word document of all the content on this website? And to create a beautiful Word document, it went in, read every single page, every single link. It said, there's a video here. Here's the link to the video. There's a pop-up here. This is what the pop-up says. This is where where it goes after they fill in their information. Here's the stuff that was on the homepage. Here's the menuing system. Here's where this page. It laid the whole thing out, colorized it. Beautiful job, and it did it in 5-10 minutes. That would have taken me hours to do. So just one idea of, how it helps me in my everyday. And then it saved it, put it into that folder and said, here you go. It's in that folder now. I didn't even have to save it out. It's just there. So now when I need it, I just go pull it out and off we go. It's fantastic. I want you to think of it this way, and maybe this will help. If you use ChatGPT, it's better as a thinking partner, if you will. And a content engine, right? So creating content, creating copy, that kind of thing, ChatGPT is going to be better at that. If you want the AI to actually do work for you, Claude is going to be better. Claude Cowork is going to be much better for you. So if you're deciding which way to go, each one's $20 a month. You don't want to do both. You want to do one. Figure out what you want. If you want to have the conversation, you want to brainstorm, ChatGPT is fine. It'll do that really well for you. It also creates nice images. Claude doesn't create images yet. It'll get there eventually. It doesn't do that yet. So if you want images, I use Grok for a lot of the imagery. I use ChatGPT sometimes for imagery. It'll create it for you. It's funny because I've been using Photoshop now since the 90s, and it's like I hardly open that program. Why am I paying $70 a month for that? I don't know. It's one of the things I think there's going to change. So I would say a solo founder, if you're a solopreneur, if you've got a small business, if you've got a little e-commerce site, you might use both ChatGPT and Cowork. They're not the same. It's like we like to think of AI as all the same, but they all have their expertise, their specialties. They do things a little bit differently. So you may want to consider that. So like I said, I was using Cowork this morning, working on the content for this, podcast episode. I'm calling it a podcast episode. It's also a live show, so it's kind of both. It's a live show first, and then we take that and bundle it and put it into the podcast system, and it goes to all the top, podcast hosting sites: iTunes, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Spotify, you name it, it's all there. You can find it. So if you look at it from that perspective, it's like I really needed a little bit of help this morning because I was drawing a blank. And it happens as Monday came along and I'm like, the show's on Thursday. Plenty of time to think about it. I had so many other things on my plate this week I had to get done. And then it came to Thursday morning and I'm like, ooh, I think I need a little help here. There's 10 different directions I had in mind that I could go. And it's like, I just need to narrow it down. And that really helped me to brainstorm. And then it went one step further and it gave me, I've got a whole outline that I created. I don't follow it, but it gave me a whole outline, for the show. And here's the points, here are the bullet points, here are the things people are going to really, and like, okay, great, good. Not necessarily everything that I want to cover. So today's show is AI assisted. I asked it what the big story was and it came out and it said inflation's the big story. How could it not be? How could inflation not be the biggest story today, right? I know we're focused on what's going on overseas, but with the inflation hurts us where we live. So inflation, then AI. How is AI helping? AI is helping because if you're a small business owner, instead of hiring another employee, you can get AI to do a lot of the little tasks, the menial tasks that somebody might do, right? And even if you're not an employee, Phoebe had has an aunt with a listing of a house for sale. And the listing really wasn't well done. The real estate agent, not really very talented, did a pretty horrible job. So she put the listing into AI and said, here, spruce this up. And it came back and rewrote the whole thing. And it was written like a top real estate agent. So, we all run into things that we could use help with, whether you're in business or not in business. AI can really be tremendously helpful for you in that respect. And it's quick. Yeah, that's the thing that kind of blows people away. It's like, I typed in this thing, look what it came back with. It did the research, it went out and found this, it found that. For instance, with the computer issue I had this morning, I put in the kind of memory that I had. I put in the CPU, I put in the motherboard, I put in the BIOS information, and it went and did all the research, looked at all the support boards, the support forums, it read all of that, and came back within minutes and said, yeah, there's other people having the same issue. Here's how you solve it. That would have taken me hours and hours and hours. They came back within minutes. So I ripped the computer open, did what it said, rebooted the computer, and we're back in business. I'm like, oh, that was easy. So, if you're looking for ways to speed up, what's going on with your world, I find it interesting. A lot of people will throw their computers out because they have a software issue and they think the hardware is bad and it's just, something that can easily be solved. So you can use AI to save that computer, if you will, and get that thing working again. It's really powerful for that. If you're looking for ways to cut spending, you want to save some money, Amazon does not always have the cheapest price. So you could put in, I'm looking for this product, find me the best price on the internet, or find me a coupon code that I could use to lower the price. People, wow, this is great. This is the $20 a month that pays for itself just doing that. And I use this all the time, right? I got to buy a piece of equipment for the studio. Instead of paying full price, I go, who has a better price? And you'll always find another vendor. Maybe it's not Amazon. Maybe it is Amazon. Sometimes it's actually Walmart, which is interesting. Didn't know they carried some of these higher end electronics, but they've got them just on their online store, and you can get access to it for a little bit cheaper. Or maybe it comes back and gives you a coupon code. You use that and knocks the price down 30%. It's really very useful. Maybe you want to use AI to find a new job. It's very helpful for that. It can review many different websites and look at all the different job openings. You say you got to be very specific on what you're looking for, and then send it on its way, and it's going to go out and do that work for you. Claude Cowork is great for that. Grok is good for that. I haven't done that with ChatGPT yet, but you could do it if you're looking for new clients. Sometimes you stare at a blank screen and go, I don't know where to find my next client. Ask AI, hey, this is the kind of client I'm looking for. Where do you suggest I start? Great prompt, right? Great way to start. And it'll start giving you the conversation. Let me clarify. What kind of client do you want? How much do you charge? Well, and it'll ask you all these questions. You answer all these questions and it refines the prompt down and then can show you where you would go to find new clients. What if you want to update a resume or update a social media bio? A lot of us have the social media bio. He's like, write about yourself. Well, I don't know what to put. And, man, a lot of people will do that with their social media. Like, come on, you can do better. Well, now you have AI. So now you can use AI and you say, can you help me with my Instagram? Actually, Claude Cowork helped me with my Instagram this week and actually logged into Instagram, changed and updated the bio for me. I didn't have to log in and do it myself. It did it for me. I'm like, this is getting better and better every day. I love it. So all this stuff will save you time. All of this stuff will cut expenses, and you're seeing it happen more and more. Is it perfect? The answer there is absolutely not. Use your discernment with all things. Sometimes it'll steer you in the wrong direction. And the story that I have next for you is going to kind of illustrate that. Illustrate a couple of things, actually. It's kind of interesting. I had a conversation with somebody this week who said, I hate AI. I want to think for myself. And I said, I was there too when this all started. I just didn't want to use it. I didn't want the computer to be doing the thinking for me. And then I realized something kind of interesting. It's like, if I have a challenge ahead of me, I got to build a website or having a technical issue or whatever, I have a certain knowledge base in my head that I can pull from, or I can go online and start searching, right? And I can find answers, but it could take me hours to do that. Then I've only got what I know. That's all I got to work from. AI knows a lot more because it has access to many databases, right? A lot of support forums, a lot of tech support, it's got so much information. And it's really quick. So if you use it and you think about AI as my assistant, not so scary. Think of AI as replacing you. Yeah, nobody wants that, right? Give me an assistant. Okay. I could have troubleshot what was going on with my computer today. I would have figured it out. I've been building computers now since 1987. Not a hard thing. I'll figure it out at some point, but it may have taken me 3-4 hours to do it. AI has a bigger knowledge base to work from. And when I look at it that way, I say, that makes a lot of sense now. So I can do what I can do. I know what I know. It doesn't diminish your abilities. It makes it easier when the stuff comes back. You can say, well, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. That'll never work. Or, oh, I never thought of that. That's fantastic. And that's the way it's been working for me. And, I've been giving these prompts, this free ebook out to people, and they're blown away because they're like, wow, I got so much more on AI that I never would have gotten out of it before. All this for $20 a month is not bad. So yeah, don't be afraid of it. I think that is a really good use of AI. All right, some of you who saw my Facebook post, actually Phoebe's Facebook post about a week and a half ago, know that our beloved Thumper has passed. He's about 18 years old, and he was doing really, really well. And then at the end there, he's just, I guess they get to a certain age and they just weren't functional anymore. He was having all kinds of issues, having trouble walking. And literally Friday morning, he ate well. I didn't think anything of it. And then around lunchtime, he just wasn't looking great. And then we left him outside for a little bit, and we came back a little bit later. I came back to feed him and couldn't find him anywhere. But apparently animals will do this. They will kind of disappear when they know the end is near, and they'll go lie somewhere and pass on. And around midnight that night, the front lawn was loaded with coyotes. There were like 5-6 coyotes on the front lawn. And I'm like, yeah, he probably passed, and they're taking care of the remains. Sad to see it, but that's the way nature works, I guess. And Bruce was telling me, he says, he lasted a lot longer because we thought at least 3 years ago that he wasn't going to make it. And we started to get him on the Pet Club food, and the Pet Club is the food that helps with a lot of ailments that cats and dogs have, helps them be a lot healthier. And like I said, when we first put him on this, he had tumors on his hindquarters, and they went away within a week. And then his coat was feeling better, his energy came up, and he was doing really well. So I think we got, I can't guarantee that this was, I think we got an extra 3 years out of his life because we gave him the super sauce, the pet food. So if you want to try it, renegademedia.tv/pets is where you go, and it'll take you over to the website and have a look. They do a really nice job with the food, and they have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you buy it, you don't like it, you just email them and they'll take it back. They'll give you a refund, not a problem. renegademedia.tv/pets is where you'll go there. So yeah, we missed Thumper. Oftentimes I was doing the show and he was sitting right here on the desk, or he was right at my feet. And he always seemed to know not to meow when I was on the air. I don't know how he knew that, but when I was presenting, he would always be quiet. And as soon as I got off, then he started meowing for food. So, yeah, he was quite a character. Love that guy. Gonna miss him. It's been 18 years. Whew. All right. Big story. And this illustrates, there's a lot of pieces to this. I want to see if I can lay this out correctly for you. If we look at what's going on right now in the AI world, there's a story out there that people are presenting as terrifying, scary, all this kind of thing. So what happened? AI broke into a company. And the reality is, I think this may actually be good news. And people are like, what are you talking about? This is crazy. The headlines are all about the terror and the fear and how awful this is. And we need to stop AI and blah, blah, blah. And I think we're going in the wrong direction. So July 21st, OpenAI, the people who are behind ChatGPT, they have two new models, ChatGPT 5.6 and an unreleased version. And they were running through a cybersecurity benchmark, and they had turned off the guardrails. Now, what does that mean? We're not going to give you any limitations. We're going to give you an assignment. Get this assignment done. No rules. No holds barred. Go for it. And they were surprised at what happened. What happened? Okay, instead of solving the test, the AI literally broke out of the sandbox that it was in. It found a node, found its way onto the internet, which it wasn't supposed to do. It found a real zero-day vulnerability, and it hacked into a company called Hugging Face, another AI company. Now people are like, wow, that's crazy, that's scary. AI could break into anything. It probably could at this point. Why did it break into it? Well, the assignment it was given, it needed to go find the answer key to a test that was being given. It decided cheating, think about this, no guardrails. It decided that cheating, breaking into the server was the way to go. And that's what it did. It broke into the server, so it cheated. It was the most efficient path to get the job done. The kicker is Hugging Face detected the intrusion 5 days before OpenAI connected it to its own model, and they'd already reported it to law enforcement. So every headline you're reading this week is saying the same word, terrifying. And I want to make this show you that you're reading it, or they're reading it exactly backwards. You might say, come on, how could this possibly be? This is a reframe, right? Remember what I said? You see something that's horrible, you see something that's terrible. You always got to look for the silver lining. So flip it around. What else is going on here? What else could possibly be going on when you have an AI that broke out of the sandbox, made its way onto the internet, found a zero-day vulnerability in another AI's platform, broke into their website, stole information, right, and solved the task that it was given? Pretty scary. What if that were your bank account? What if they said, "Hey, we're gonna drain your bank account. AI, go for it. No guardrails. Do whatever you got to do." They'd probably be able to do it. In fact, that's why, the Fable version that Anthropic was going to release about a month and a half ago was pulled back. They released it, and then they found that it was able to hack into most any website, any database. And they said, "Oh, we can't make that available to everybody," so they pulled it. So if you strip away the fear and all the exaggeration around all of this, and you say, okay, what are the benefits here? What really happened? What really happened was it was given a hard problem. It hit a wall, and it refused to accept defeat. It refused to say, well, I can't get on the internet. It's too hard. You know, boss, it's 4 o'clock. I think it's time to quit. None of that. It was given a task. And remember, it's very important here. They took away all the guardrails. They said, do whatever you got to do. No limits. It found a way. That's pretty powerful. We should be more like that AI, right? We should be able to say, there are no limits. We're going to go do what we're going to do. We are going to get the result that we want to get. We're going to bust through everything. Of course, we have guardrails, and it's called morality, right? We have morals. Well, a lot of us do. I can't speak for everyone, but most of us have morals, and that ends up being the guardrails that we use to, get through life. So the AI got really resourceful. It chained tools together that nobody handed it. Didn't tell it how to hack. Didn't give it access to the internet, right? But it chained together these tools that it knew it needed. And I see Claude doing that too. When I ask it to create a Word document, it shows you it's loading a tool, loading this, loading that. It's grabbing all these different pieces to do the task at hand. So this guy this one did the same thing. So this is the single most entrepreneurial trait that I could possibly find. We literally coach people to think this way. There's a way. There's always a way. And I've worked with so many people over the course of my career who are stuck, who can't see the way, because what gets in the way? I've talked to this before, right? The emotional stuff gets in the way, and it gets very foggy. But somebody who's not involved emotionally in what's going on with you can see clearly, right? AI can see clearly. AI has no emotion. None. Something we learned there. Anyway, truth is, right now, most of us are using AI for 5% of what's possible already. There was a time, and it was through the 80s and through most of the 90s and well into the early 2000s, where our creativity and our desire to create was so far above the technology. Technology didn't catch up. We were so much more creative, and we were always constrained by what the software could do. I remember desktop publishing on the Apple IIe years ago, or the first Mac, little one that was it had a tiny little black and white monitor. It only had a handful of fonts. So when you're doing desktop publishing, you only had a couple of fonts to work with, where today we have tens of thousands of fonts, right? So those are the constraints. We only had to work with this. That's all we could work with. Small screen, only a couple of fonts. So the technology was really constraining us. It's the opposite today. Technology is so far ahead of our creativity. All that's required now is for us to think about what it is we want to do, and there's technology that can help make it happen. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay. There's another benefit here that I think everybody is missing. When you hear it, you're probably going to be, oh, that makes a lot of sense. That makes tremendous sense. So number one, we've got to recognize that AI has no morality. If you don't give it the correct rules, guardrails, it's just going to do whatever it's going to do. And there's no limit there. So we kind of got to give it that. We've got to make sure that the people who are programming this have some sort of morality where, they're going to say, it's not a good idea to hack into other people's computers, right? That kind of thing. And they can make that so, and the AI won't do what it's told not to do. It'll follow those rules. But here's what's interesting. I did some research on this. I thought this was kind of fascinating. For years, I've been hearing this. The companies pay a bounty to hackers if they can hack into their systems, like Microsoft or Apple. Apple pays millions of dollars a year to hackers because they can hack into their system. And they have to show them the hack, show them what they did. Apple will explore, and if it's and then they'll give them a payout. $100,000 for this, $10,000 for that. They pay out millions of dollars every year for these hackers to do exactly that. What just happened with this AI? This AI found a 0-day vulnerability. That means a vulnerability that had not yet been discovered. 0 day is, we found it today. It's today. It found it, it exploited it. Now, if you think about that, what if, instead of being terrified, we looked at it and said, wow, this would be really cool. For $20 a month, I now have an AI that can stress test my website, can stress test my podcast, my e-commerce, my databases, all of it. Whatever software, whatever app I create, I could stress test it for $20 a month. It would do it faster, more efficiently than any hacker could. Now, the issue that you really have to think about here, it's the speed at which you uncover the hack that makes the difference, right? So if AI doesn't discover it, I was telling you, I was preparing this. I thought that was kind of funny. All of a sudden, I start getting all these bounced emails showing up on my inbox. Emails that said they came from me, but they didn't come from me. So there was a hack somewhere. So right away, okay, where have I been hacked? Where's the problem? I went to Grok and I gave it with the headers from the emails that were bouncing back. And I said, who's sending these? Where are they coming from? And how can I block the server? So it went through and it did extensive research. It came back and it said, they're just using your name or your email address as a return address. If it's not coming from you, here's where it's coming from. It's coming from a company in Florida that is known for spamming. So they just put my email address as the reply email address, even though it wasn't coming from me, and they're sending out this spam. And so Grok came back and said, here's what you can do to patch that problem on the server. So I went in and patched it, and the past half hour, those emails have stopped. So they can't send them anymore. It was just the way one of the records on the server was set up was allowing them to exploit it and be able to send email that would look like it was coming from me, although it wasn't. So I'm just a solo guy. That would have taken me hours to try and trouble. I don't know if I ever would have figured it out. It's a new exploit. I hadn't heard of that one before. In all the years I've been doing this, that's a new exploit. Grok figured it out in minutes. So this is really powerful. This is really cool because if you think about it on the bigger scale, your bank is not really that secure online. It can be hacked. What if this model were used and say, okay, here's a bank, go at it, hack it any way you can. And then it did, and it let the bank know where the weaknesses were so they can go in and fix them. And all of a sudden we have more security, better access to sites online that are secure, less chance of hacking, less chance of having your data stolen. Now I'm looking at this, I just see positive, stacking the pot. Again, going around and looking for the silver lining. That's where it is. So Hugging Face was kind of interesting. They reconstructed over, get this, 17,000 recorded events from the intrusion. 17,000. That's how many different tries the AI had to do before it was able to get in. Now, if that were a human hacker trying to do that, how long would it have taken to get there? Long time. Very long time. But now you can get it like that. So what they did is they put their security team on it and they patched it up. They fixed it. So you can't hack in. They can't use that hack anymore. It is now patched. So their system, because of this attack, is actually stronger now than it was before. So the reframe here is very simple. The same capability as a weapon or shielding, depending entirely on who's holding it. Scary headline, AI hacked a company. Founders takeaway is simply this. AI can now stress test my systems the way only elite firms used to. I could never afford, the $50,000 or more that it would cost to pay a hacker to figure out where the weaknesses were. For $20 a month, I've got it now. Anyway, this is really a lot of fun. When you look at it that way, it's like we're going to be better off. As this goes, we're going to be better off because the AI is doing things a human can't do at a speed that is unbelievably fast and so powerful. Now, there's a lot of drama around the data centers. I'm with you on that. I don't know why we need so many data centers. I just have never been able to figure out what the real need is because it's not what we're being told. Is it for data storage? I don't know. SSDs and stuff are so tiny now. You don't need these massive football-sized, data centers storing all that data. Servers are getting smaller and more efficient all the time. I just, I don't know. I have to know more about what's going on. I've been asking AI this, and AI is not really clear on what all these things are going to be used for. Okay, so if we talk about flock cameras and they're recording 20 billion photos a week or something crazy like that right now, that's a lot of data. You probably need some servers to handle that. But do you need one that's 5 or 6 football fields in size? I'm thinking not. I'm thinking there's something else going on here. So, we got to keep in the fight. We've got to keep aware of it. We've got to be aware of what our surroundings are, looking like. And we've got to pay attention because if these things have no guardrails, we will lose a lot of ground really quickly. So we got to fight for that, and we got to make sure that these things are built morally. And we always talk about negative AI and positive AI. We got to make sure that the programmers are not doing things that are nefarious. So again, it comes back to it always comes back to us. So isn't it funny? It's like we can't give this to anyone. It's got to be us. We got to be the ones raising the red flag here and saying, "Hey, we don't like this. This is fine. This isn't." And the more we do that, I think the better off we're going to be as far as getting, more out of the AI that's positive than negative. So yeah, this thing went out and it hacked. Okay, that's a bad thing, but it's a good thing because now that that server is now patched and can no longer be hacked in that way anymore. So maybe they'll stress test it again, hit it again, and see where the next vulnerability is. And it just makes everybody a little bit safer, a little bit stronger. So I really like that. All right. Boy, a lot to talk about. I have a lot more to go, but I think we're going to save some for next week. Finally got the new modem in. It is working. I'm actually using it right now, and it is keeping pace. It's good. Fantastic. So now we're back to 3 internet connections, which is important to do live stream, and I'll be able now to bring in guests. So we plan to have a guest next week, and we'll be able to have a little bit more of a friendly conversation rather than just me doing a monologue. Of course, I enjoy them. I enjoy hanging out with you guys. It's always fun on a Thursday afternoon to say, hey, if you want to join us, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We're on Rumble, we're on YouTube, we're on my X account, and, also we'll take this and turn it into a podcast, and we'll send it everywhere. A lot of people now are starting to listen on the podcast. You can listen to the audio version, or you can also download on iTunes. You can download the video version. I think there's a couple of other podcaster apps now that are going to start to host video. So I'll be able to share it in more places of the video version of it. But for right now, that's where it is. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Guys, thank you so much for being part of today's show. It always is fun hanging out with you. I'm going to go back and read some of the chat. I think it's been, you guys have been lighting up the chat room there. I appreciate it. And, we'll see you back here next Thursday for another Renegade Breakthroughs. Thanks for watching. Lots of love to all of you. Have a great week.